now open the reorganization meeting. Will everyone stand to say the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order is to swear in the newly and re-elected board members, Nicholas DeMarco, Lori Goldhawk, and Olivia Hidalgo. If you would stand and you can recite your oath of office at the same time.
I, Lori Goldhawk, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the new State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Board of Education member of Amherst Central School District according to the best of my ability.
Thank you. If you would please sign that, and then I'll take that from you. Our second order is to elect board officers. The floor is open for nominations for president of the Board of Education.
I would like to nominate Jessica McLaughlin for president.
Any other nominations? Okay. We'll now take a public vote, yes, we'll take a public vote for Board of Education president. I need a motion to elect Jess McLaughlin for board president.
Go ahead.
Make a motion to elect Jessica McLaughlin as board president.
Great. A second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. The floor is now open for nominations for vice president of the Board of Education.
I would like to make a nomination for Mary Jane Metzen for vice president.
Any other nominations? We'll now take a public vote for the Board of Education vice president. I need a motion to elect Mary Jane Metzen as vice president.
I'll make a motion to elect MJ Metzen.
And a second?
I second.
All in favor for Mary Jane Metzen for board president, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. I will need both of you to take an oath of office for president and vice president. And again, you can say them simultaneously.
I, Mary Jane Metzen, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Board of Education Vice President of the Amherst Central School District according to the best of my ability.
Thank you both. If you can sign that, and then you can give that to me at the end. The board president is now in charge of the remainder of this meeting. What's that? Oh, I'll give you a pen. Thank you. I don't know if you would like to move over. And
You get to move seats.
Oh, this is weird. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like moving up day.
It is like moving up day. I graduated.
please.
I will, yeah.
No.
It's like seeing your neighbor for 4 months.
I know, I'm sorry, you know, it wasn't something I did.
Oh. Stuff in that corner. That's okay. Okay. All right. Guess I move on to the rest of the reorganization meeting. Great. So, thank you. Thank you very much for your support, everyone. I would like to, I think we need a motion for item D, consent of organizational resolutions.
I'll make a motion for consent item D, or item D, consent of organizational resolutions.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Excellent. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 8-0.
Well, it's 7-0.
7-0.
Right.
Okay.
And from there, we would have oath of office
Great.
for,
For yourself, Ms. Kaczynski, and our new. Sorry. Here it is.
you ready for us?
I think so, yes, let's do it.
Okay.
There it is. I'm ready, when you're ready.
I, Deborah Kaczynski, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of district clerk of the Amherst Central School District according to the best of my ability. And then if you would sign that, you can give it to me as well.
Ms. Custodi, do you want me to come over and sign now?
I'll have it ready for you when you do it.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
So with those oaths, that concludes our reorganization portion of the meeting. And at this time, it is adjourned. We will move on to our regular business meeting. Ms. Custodi, do we have any visitors wishing to speak?
No, we do not.
Okay. Then we will move on to our report of board committees. The first report of board committees, the thing we are going to go over is our board member protocol. Now, I know that everybody had access to that especially through our weekly update. Wanted to open and see if we have any questions before we move on and assume that we are all okay with this protocol. Nothing has changed from years past. If we're all okay, then I'll continue to move forward. I don't want to be too fast though. We're all set? Yeah. Okay, great. Did any committees meet? I did have one myself, but did any other board committees meet within the 2 weeks before we met today from our last meeting? I'll give you a quick update from the Distraction-Free Schools Committee. We had our last meeting on June 24th, and we were able to review the public comments from our public comment period. We were able to incorporate some of those comments into the policy that we are going to send over to the policy committee. And we were able to make some updates to the plan and updates to the FAQs. Those are all going to be available to the public as we work through this process. Now our next step is going to be for the policy committee to then sit down and review the policy, make sure that we're all set with that. From that, we are going to have a superintendent presentation at the next meeting, and that's on August 5th. And we will also have a policy for our approval at that time. This all has to happen again because we have to implement this for the new school year, which starts in September. But we look like we're right on track for that.
What was how much feedback did you get, and what were the nature and comments?
They were on both sides of support and non-support, and we had about 80 comments. Is that? Yeah, we had a lot of feedback, and it was feedback from all of the buildings, parents and staff alike. So we had a lot of stuff to go through that was very relevant. It was
Kinds of things that they've seen on both sides that people seem particularly concerned with that came up.
there's some people that are in favor of the law, but the law is not something that we can change, and some people that are not in favor of the law. Unfortunately, that's dictating how we proceed this way. So it also helped us make some clarification in the procedure and how it will be handled in the building. It was very helpful. Just making sure details were really, really clear, because it's a new policy and people are going to have to really understand it in order to follow it.
And the representation on the committee included all 4 buildings, parents, students, board members. I think we had paraprofessionals, counselors.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty representative group. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. 25.
Administrators and
25 people.
teachers, of course, as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, the feedback.
25 in
Great.
addition?
25 total.
Oh, total.
But yeah, I mean, I think most of the time was spent looking at the feedback and tweaking the plan if necessary based on the feedback.
Mhm. Which we did. We were very thoughtful with our changes and making sure we were adhering to the guidelines. The policy is pretty straightforward, but we're making some changes as much as we could before it went to the policy committee, and they'll do their work there. So, and that's unless there's any other committees, which I don't think there are. Okay, wonderful. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Pinella.
Well, thank you. We have one item for the superintendent's report, so I'm pleased to welcome Mrs. Bazinski and Ms. Colbert, our claims auditor, for our annual claims auditor report.
Thank you. So I am pleased to introduce you to Denise Colbert. You may remember Rick Foley was with us for several years and he retired at the end of last fiscal year. So Denise has been with us for a full year. So part of our requirement is to update the board and report to the board annually on the performance of our purchasing and our claims payments. So this presentation meets that requirement, so we'll meet with you every late June, early July to update you on how we performed during the previous year.
Well, as you know, the claims position it is a requirement that is required by the state, and I do this for Sweet Home, Clarence, Niagara Falls. So I've been doing it a little bit over 20 years. So it's not my, not my first district. So I do have some experience doing it. I look at your documents, verify the accuracy of your claims, make sure they have proper authorization, supporting documentation. I match your goods, your services received. I look at your procedures, your accuracy, confirm the goods and services have been received. Sales tax, your expenditures. Checks issued, match your payment schedules. I go to your purchasing, your policies, your procedures. I'm big on your competitive bidding and your requirements, making sure that we're getting our quotes. Competitive bidding if we're over the thresholds, making sure that we are seeking proper bidding requirements for GML. 103, making sure that we are seeking proper bidding or we're getting state requirements, getting them off state contracts or whatever contract that we need to get them off of. When I do all that, I do the reports. I let Laura know whatever requirements or whatever exceptions there are. If there are mistakes, I go back to Laura or the girls in accounts payable and have whatever changes need to be made. Let's see what else. This is just a summary of the general fund, the federal fund, lunch, capital, just a summary of the dollar amount, the claims that I have looked at for the year. These are your purchase orders, a total, that's just a summation. What I looked at these are your confirming orders. These are the biggest exceptions that I have found. Your confirming orders, basically, I don't know if you know them or not what your confirming orders are. That's your biggest exceptions, and those are orders that someone has purchased something prior to us okaying it. So I don't know how familiar you are with the whole purchasing process, but if someone is going to make a purchase, we have to put a purchase order in. So let's just say your art supplies or whatever, we have to go through our whole purchasing system, and it has to go through your purchase process, and depending on the dollar amount, do we get quotes, did we get an state contract, then a purchase order is put in place for it, for whatever dollar amount is, and then we place the order. There are times that someone in the schools or whoever, they go and they make the purchase. The invoice comes in and we are obligated to pay it as a district, and then it comes across to accounts payable, and we're like, oh, who made this purchase? They committed the district, we have to pay it. We have no idea that the purchase was made, but it was made in the name of the district, we have to pay it. Those are our confirming orders. Oftentimes, bids weren't obtained for it, quotes weren't obtained for it, because we have no idea that it was made. That's, I mean, if you look at the amount and the percentage, it's not a huge amount, but they are done. When they happen, we go back to the individual and we do address the issue with them. Those are your biggest type of errors that we do find, but again, the percentage is not huge.
What would be the big reason for the spike from last year, 23 to 24?
Okay, we have had, there are personnel turnovers. It does happen.
Well, I'll also take the blame for that, because with a new claims auditor, I have asked Denise to be very strict with us. So we worked with Rick for a long time and he was wonderful. But with a new claims auditor, turnover in the business office, and a lot of turnover in the clerical positions across all of our departments in the buildings, there have been a lot of misses. So I asked Denise to be very strict, because the only way for us to improve is to really know where our weaknesses are. So I knew that this year's number was not going to go in the right direction, but now we know where we're starting, and then we can address that with everyone and now see the improvements next year.
Right, and oftentimes, employees don't think if they need, you know, some crayons and cardboard and some additional supplies, they're gonna run to the store for, you know, $75. They don't think it's a big deal, and they submit their receipts. And they think it's not a big deal. Then they just submit the receipts and they expect to be reimbursed. And the only time really to stop that is if we at accounts payable have to, you know, say, you know, it's great you bought that for the kids or whatever, but we need to push back and say, we're not reimbursing you. That's, you know, first time, okay, but now you know the procedures. Next time, we're not gonna reimburse you. They have to know what the procedures are. And like Laura said, with the turnover and with new people, they may not know it, but we are tracking that, and, you know, okay, we're gonna give it to you this time, but now you know the procedures. Next time, you know, that was great, and thank you for your gift, but we're not gonna reimburse you next time. So.
What's the dollar impact? Is it significant, or are we, like, overall, when you look at 45 orders, what's a ballpark dollar?
I wouldn't say that it's not huge.
Okay.
The individual amounts that come across, they're not big dollar amounts that we see. The areas, I mean, they're not
When you
huge.
say big dollar amounts, you mean like under 100 or under 200? Or
I would say a good amount are probably under 100. I mean, we do see there are some departments, sometimes we'll see confirming orders where they don't know the dollar amounts. Let's just say like a bowling tournament or something like that. So they don't put in a purchase order because they don't know what it is. And I've tried to explain, well, just put an estimate in based on last year. And we're trying to communicate that to it. Put an estimate in and put a PO in, and if it's less or it's more, you know, but at least put something in. But again, for turnover, you know, it's just communication, and I'm assuming next year's gonna be better.
Right, and just to reassure you, all of the payments are still reviewed, even though they're confirming POs. So they're all payments that I would have approved on a purchase order anyways.
Absolutely.
And if there are issues with them, we do go back. Like, we did have a teacher make a purchase on her own and she paid sales tax. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you have, it was $9.99. I'm like, you have to pay for that. Like, I can't reimburse you that. And if you had done your purchase order, we could have done it through the district credit card and it would have been tax exempt. So almost all of them are innocent and true errors. We have, like, in athletics, kids, they'll go on tournament, they'll go to a tournament. So it's on the schedule, but if we don't get that PO in for the tournament fee ahead of the tournament, they're like, oh, they went yesterday, they put the PO in, well, now it's the day after, now it's a confirming PO. We would have approved it anyways, but now the timing didn't quite work.
Right, there hasn't been anything that was not a district expense that would not have been approved. They're definitely district expenses.
Yeah, and oftentimes there's a verbal approval ahead of time from a principal or an assistant principal, which is something we need to work on as well. It's not that, staff members or teachers are just going and buying stuff and coming in and saying, oh, I need to be reimbursed. More often than not, they're confirming it with their principal to say, oh, I need X, Y, and Z because the Buffalo Bills are coming to Smallwood tomorrow and we need to make signs. So I'm gonna go to the store, and the principal says, oh, no problem, just bring the receipt in without putting the PO in. So it's
Right, they're not
something-
going rogue out there.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're not
it's
going
like
rogue
crazy.
and just buying stuff assuming we're gonna reimburse them.
So definitely an issue, definitely not what we want our procedures to be, but something that we can address and are continuing to address. We're never gonna eliminate all of them, but I would like to get back down below that 1%.
Do we have any issues, like, are they gonna look at an increase like that and be like, go back and look at your previous years, and like, where does that 1.4 kind of rank amongst other, is this like a pretty standard number? I don't think it's just like a big, is this something where they're gonna see if we do another year and there's another 45, and then a year after that, there's another 50, are they gonna look back at 2020, 2021, 2022 and be like, what was going on there? Is that?
There's no one, this is something that we pulled together because I asked for it so that I knew how we were performing. This isn't sent out to anybody else, this is not, we're required to have claims auditor by the state, but they're not reviewing this.
Okay.
Right, and
So this is
confirming,
just for us.
and confirmings are definitely an issue, among all districts. The problem children departments are the same among all the districts, for sure. It's just true, it's the same problem children.
More
among-
room for growth, more
Yeah.
room for growth.
Can I just ask, what's the turnover usually on somebody, if I was a teacher and I made a purchase order, how long does it take to get that approved usually? So like,
I approve POs like right now, every single day, and when things slow down, 3 times a week. So a day, 2 days.
within a day or a couple days?
Absolutely.
If I put, so it isn't like, okay, I have to do it 2 weeks in advance or something?
No.
Absolutely
And I receive phone calls. I just entered this, but I have to go to the store this afternoon. I hop in, I approve it, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not weeks, purchase orders, you probably can flip it in a day if,
Oh, yeah.
if you need it, if needed to be. And there are times when we can do an emergency PO if we had to, or, if there's an emergency situation, that can be documented, and if the state came in, depending on what the emergency is, if we have it well documented what the emergency is, we'll write that on there, and the state will look at that as well. Confirmings are something that the state, when they come in, when the OSC comes in, that is one of their low-hanging fruit that they look at. But depending on what the emergency is, if we clearly document it, they're okay with that. But, it's all about the documentation and what our reason is. But I think, I don't see us having a huge issue with it.
Well, the percentage is not alarming, but the trend changed. So obviously that
Right.
means that something needs to be communicated so that we can get back under 1%. But if the total number of POs within a school year, would you estimate is at what number wise?
2,500-ish a year.
Exactly, so this is not,
So the percentage is not alarming, but certainly room for improvement.
absolutely. And I don't think we're ever gonna get away with them unless we get away with, close down some of our problem children. And that's not gonna happen, so.
To be clear, we're not talking about real children. We're talking about employees.
No, department.
Departments. Right.
Department.
Because we
But-
Opportunity
can't
for
get rid of
growth.
any.
Yeah. So that's our big thing, and then, and we had some clerical, errors, wrong input, remit, address, budget code, clerical, but given the amount of paperwork that the accounts payable goes through, it's a lot of paperwork, it's a lot of input. We're gonna have, there's gonna be some errors, and it's my job to find them, and we send them back to accounts payable, and they get corrected before the checks get out the door. So I don't think, we have, a major, problem going out the door.
Yeah, I think there's some that we certainly want to focus on, and then, as you said, some that in some cases aren't avoidable. A lot of times our facilities ones are emergency situations, an emergency repair,
Absolutely.
we came in and the heat's not working and we need to get Muhlenberg vets out here to get it turned on before everyone reports. And Mark makes a judgment call to say, yeah, come on out here.
Yep, and that's well documented, it's
Yeah.
on there, it's an emergency repair, it's documented, and the state allows for that we're gonna have emergency repairs, and we document that, and that's fine.
But the
Yeah.
tournaments or the reimbursements, the things that are more planned, we're gonna continue chipping away at those procedures and making sure people are compliant.
But that's really about it. Are there any specific questions about what I do, or anything specific you need looked at, or concerns? Anything?
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Good. All right, thanks for coming.
I think that moves us on to new business.
Wonderful.
And with that, I will need a motion to approve new business, consent of new business, item P.
I'll make a motion to approve new business item P, consent of new business, personnel, financial items.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. I do want to say congratulations to our own Lori Goldhawk on her new appointment as president of ECASB. Congratulations.
All right.
Today starts her term, so it's a good day for everybody. Okay, and with that, I'll need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. Any opposed? 7-0. Thanks, everyone. Oh, yeah.